Manny Ramirez becomes the latest player in baseball to face allegations of steroid use, but odds are he won't be the last. Is it time for baseball to acknowledge it has a serious problem with steroids? What should the league do when there's evidence of use in past seasons? And how should it move forward? It's your call right now. Another baseball season, another hero knocked from the pedestal. This time, Manny Ramirez, the hard-hitting, much-admired, passionate Dodger, is in the midst of a 50-game suspension for suspected steroid use. Of course, he says he didn't know he violated the drug policy, and of course, he's apologized. But we all know this is not the last time baseball will be faced with this kind of scandal. Hello, everyone. It's good to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle, asking your opinion today on a very pertinent topic. What should baseball do about its ever-growing steroid crisis? For many years, there have been suspicions that certain players have bulked up and enhanced their performance as a result of steroids. And for many years, league officials, team owners, and fans either accepted it or looked the other way because there was no official policy regarding it in Major League Baseball. But then it got harder and harder to look away. Barry Bonds came under federal indictment, and future Hall of Famers like Roger Clemens were accused of cheating their way into Cooperstown. Now it's almost getting ridiculous with the number of players who have admitted to using it one time. Earlier this year, we talked about Yankee slugger Alex Rodriguez, and now it's Manny who's in the hot seat. At this point, fans are probably wondering, is there anyone who hasn't taken performance enhancement drugs? Well, we're going to ask that question and more in this edition of It's Your Call. I have put together a great panel of sports experts who are going to tell us what they think. In a little while, we'll tell you how you can get involved as well. Back with us is Scott Graham. He is the host of Baseball This Morning on MLB Home Plate Channel, XM 175. He's an old friend of this show. I just love to have him back. Dan Schwartzman is the host of The Locker Room on 950 ESPN Radio on Philadelphia. That's from 7 to 10 p.m. weeknights. Sean Foreman is president of SportsReference.com, a website providing sports statistics for every major sport. And rounding out our panel, Ira Kaufman is a New York-based attorney working with sports issues. Gentlemen, great to have you here, and this is a topic that could not be more timely. Thanks so much for coming in. Scott, I got to turn to you, my buddy here. I mean, Manny Ramirez, I don't know about you, but my reaction was, come on, you must be kidding me. All the good guys seem to be going down the wrong path. How come?
Well, and especially because of the fact that you started out a season this year in which the Dodgers were in the middle of this unbelievable run at home. And it was Manny Wood in Los Angeles. There was so much excitement. They were winning every home game. It was a great story. And the great story became an awful story as soon as this came out. And you know, your initial impulse is, well, you know, maybe he didn't do it. I mean, that's the gut reaction. Well, you know, maybe something's wrong here. Clearly, you came as the reports came around, and he did do it. Now the question is, what do you do with that?
And right now, the league has said 50 games you are suspended for whatever it is that he did or did not do. Is that fair, 50-game suspension?
Frankly, I don't think it's hard enough. You know, these are guys who, especially for a guy like Manny Ramirez, who's getting busted after baseball has already acknowledged the last couple of years, we are going to test you for performance-enhancing drugs. I think, frankly, you should get more games just for stupidity of getting caught in this generation. And, you know, baseball has trumpeted how 50 games is going to be effective, but obviously it's not, because guys are still getting caught taking it. And to me, what that says is it's worth the risk of maybe getting caught losing 50 games, or I could start hitting more home runs, put up better numbers, play longer, and make more money.
But, you know, you raise a good point about the stupidity aspect of this. What I don't get is these guys know that all eyes are on them. They know that they're under public and league scrutiny. Why would someone like Manny Ramirez even take the chance unless he truly did not think he was doing anything wrong?
An ego the size of the state of Texas, because most guys that are in a situation like this who are doing this, well, they're not going to catch me. And that's exactly the mentality that's out there. I know you think that can't possibly happen. If you don't think that could possibly happen, you haven't been around a big league clubhouse.
Really, though? I mean, they know. Alex Rodriguez, we talked about on this show earlier in the season, they know that everyone's looking for this kind of stuff. I can't believe that even if you had that kind of ego, you'd still think you could somehow fly under the radar screen.
I think the interesting thing is it's not about the money, though. Rodriguez had already received a $252 million contract. Ramirez had already earned over $200 million. I mean, I think these guys are just incredibly competitive. They really want to win. They want to be famous. They want to be the greatest players to have ever played. And I think that's really what motivates a lot of them in order to do this.
Well, for instance, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Fame player. Everyone would acknowledge in 1998 season he saw McGwire and Sosa get so much publicity, and he said, my gosh, they're getting all this publicity. Here I am, this great player, but I want to be greater. I want to hit more home runs than them. So that's when he started, and he didn't have to. He was already a Hall of Fame player. He didn't need to take the steroids.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned Barry Bonds, because anytime we talk about steroids, we always have to bring his name into it, because obviously he was kind of like the poster boy for this subject for so many years. But the fact that there's been no resolution to that case bothers me. You're an attorney. I mean, why don't they either convict this guy of something or let him go? Because he is living under the largest cloud of suspicion and scrutiny of any athlete in modern day history.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, what he's being charged with is perjury, and because they ask him in the grand jury when they're investigating Balco and whether he lied, and when they ask him the questions, his answers were maybe, I don't know, and I think it's a very tough case. They convicted Marion Jones under perjury counts, showing that she lied, but I read the transcript of what's been made public, and he was pretty evasive in his answers. It's going to be very hard, and already the judge has thrown out a number of the charges against him, so he might just be able to get out.
Well, he may get out of it legally, but now the court of public opinion, that's the one that carries so much weight. We're seeing it with the Michael Vick situation. I mean, it's like, why don't they, with Barry Bonds, either have him admit that he did something, convict him, or let the guy have a life?
It doesn't matter, because the reality is the government, frankly, has won its case because he's radioactive. No team is going to touch Barry Bonds. Look, an American League team needing a DH probably could use Barry Bonds, okay? But do you want to put up with the PR of having Barry Bonds be on your team? It's not like this is a nice guy who did something wrong, who's been apologetic. We've had guys like Andy Pettitte come out and say, I used it, and I said like once or twice, and I don't believe him. But frankly, at least he admitted some sort of use. But Bonds has always been defined. He's not a good guy. People don't like him outside of San Francisco. So what's happened is because of the cloud hanging over him, his career has been effectively over. What is he, 4 RBI shy of 2,000, which is, rarefied air that only 4 other guys have been in, I believe.
See, but that raises the question then, Scotty, about did he get to that mark for home runs shy, or for what did you say, 4 RBI shy,
yeah.
Because he got there illegally or by using, by cheating essentially?
I am going to say no, and I'm going to say no because steroids are going to make you stronger. Steroids are going to make it so that a ball that's going to possibly scrape the fence or be a warning track ball is going to go out. Steroids don't help you to center up the ball on the sweet spot of the bat. And people can say it all they want to, that everything that Barry Bonds did was based upon that. It's just simply not true. And the bottom line is, I watched him call games that he was participating in during the period of time when he was as hot as he was. Ball clubs would pitch around him all week. He would get 4 pitches a week to hit, and he'd hit 2 of them out of the ballpark. That was one of the most incredible performances I've ever seen offensively.
So are you saying if someone like yourself, who's like, the weekend athlete, the weekend warrior, if you took steroids, you still wouldn't be a Barry Bonds?
I'd stink. I mean,
so you have to have that natural talent and that strength and that ability and that connection.
That's what I believe, sure.
So if you take just a little performance enhancing drug, does that make you a cheat?
But I think Scott's kind of missing the point too here, because it's not just making you bigger and stronger. It's helping you recover from injuries quicker and getting healthy quicker. For Barry Bonds, another one of the reasons why is he apparently was having trouble getting back from a knee injury. And reasons Andy Pettitte has given for trying HGH and performance-enhancing drugs was because he was injured, was trying to get back, and he couldn't get back on a good timetable. So he was told, hey, if you use this stuff, you're going to get back quicker. So guys who may miss 50 games, because of some injury, may be coming back after 20, 25 games. Hence, they're giving themselves more games to put up bigger numbers, and that, I think, is one of the reasons why guys take it. Yeah, to get bigger, to hit home runs, but also to recover from injuries faster, to get back on the field.
What I find interesting is, I mean, players do all kinds of things to get back from injury, and usually they're lauded for those things, take cortisone shots, play injured, et cetera. But when a guy steps over this line taking HGH or steroids, he immediately receives a scarlet letter for doing it, and people want him out of the game. And it just seems to me that there's some lack of consistency, and this is obviously okay, this is obviously bad.
Some lack of consistency.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, isn't that the
understating
big sticking point, is that there's been such a lack of consistency throughout the years that now it almost seems unfair. I mean, I'm not advocating cheating in any way, shape, or form, but it almost seems unfair to look back at someone and say, well, now the record is tainted, or it should have an asterisk next to it or something, because you didn't say I couldn't do it back then.
Well, so much.
Or they turn a blind eye to it because, like you mentioned, Sammy Sosa and Mark